Welcome everybody, welcome all our Torah Anytime viewers. Tonight we're learning Le'ilu Nishmat Yecheskel ben Avraham, and for Moshe Shlomo ben Oasar to have a complete Lachzor B'Tshuva and for whoever else needs, which we all know the entire Klal Yisrael does, could benefit from getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So tonight we're going to be discussing the idea behind dressing up on Purim. Now, we're going to be pulling in from a lot of different sources, and Be'ezrat Hashem, it's going to be beautiful, really something beautiful, but it's something that you have to stay with me. You have to really stick with it. I probably should have told you guys it would be really beneficial to take notes on this type of class. I didn't have a chance to put this into some sort of Excel thing that I've done it before, but it's something that there's a lot of moving parts. So try to stick with me. This is a heavy one. So when we look at the concept of dressing up, in general, throughout history, throughout the Jewish history, there's quite a few instances that we have people go and they dress up. And I'll give you a few of them. We'll go through a couple of them, but there's more than what I'm telling you. First and foremost, Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon and Chava, they were when they were created, they didn't wear any clothes. Only after the sin of the Etz Hadas did they need to go and be dressed because they were ashamed that they were naked. Then you have Nimrod. Nimrod dressed up in a very special type of article of clothing. It's a type of article of clothing that when he would dress up in this, then he would have control and power over all the animals. Then you have Esav. Esav, he dressed up, he actually took Nimrod's clothing, and he dressed up in this type of clothing. Esav also dressed up in a different fashion, is that Esav dressed up to pretend to be a tzaddik. And we'll soon see how he did that. Yaakov then went and he dressed up like Esav to get the blessings. Leah went and she dressed up like Rachel to get married to Yaakov, who thought it was Rachel. Yosef went and dressed up in something called the Kesonis Pasin, the article of clothing that his father made for him. Yosef in turn gave 5 articles of clothing to Binyamin when Binyamin came into to Egypt, to Mitzrayim. Achashverosh, let's get it more relevant. Achashverosh went and he dressed up in a Kohen Gadol, the articles of the Kohen Gadol. And we know Mordechai, he went and Yatza Mifnei HaMelech B'Levush Malchut. He came out dressed in royal clothing. And we also know the body is also a sort of a dressing over the soul. So there's a lot of concept of dressing up. Dressing up might not be, costumes, all these things. The concept is you're covering something or you're uncovering something. So now, when we try to figure out why do we dress up, the concept of a mask, the concept of a costume is you hide your identity. You hide who you are. And by hiding who you are, you don't know who that person is. Many times in life, we go and we judge people based on how they look, based on what they do. And we even judge ourselves in that same manner. You have Rabbi Ullman gives this example. There was once a simple person that went and he was looking for a place to sleep. So he went into an inn, and the innkeeper told him, there's nothing to do over here. The place is booked solid. We have the general and the army staying over here. You can't come in. There's no room. And the guy's pleading, he's like, please put me in the boiler. Put me somewhere. I just need a place to sleep. So the innkeeper goes and says, listen, the general is out for tonight. I know he's not going to come back. I'll tell you what. I'll sell you, double book, right? Airlines. Okay, I'll sell you the room, but on the condition that, first of all, you can't touch anything, and when you wake up in the morning, you have to wake up before the sun comes up, and you got to go out. And the guy said, fine, this is all I have, let's do it. So he goes to sleep, he gets a knock, wake-up call, he gets a knock on the door, the innkeeper says, listen, the sunrise is coming up soon, you got to get out. He goes, he quickly gets dressed, and he leaves. As he's leaving, he looks into the mirror, and he accidentally, what he did was, instead of taking his clothes, he took the general's clothes. And he looks in the mirror, and he's just freezes. Then he stops for a second, and he's like, the foolish innkeeper. He woke up the general, he didn't wake up the right person. And we go, and we judge ourselves by the way that we look. You have people that have no money, but they dress like they have a lot of money, and they act all of a sudden like they have a lot of money. And then we have somebody that comes over to you that maybe doesn't look like they're presenting with dignity, honor, and respect, or they, that you think that a human being should be, and you treat them like that because you judge them either they're a general or they're someone who has nothing. But it doesn't matter. We judge people based on what they are and how they look and what they do. Comes Purim. Purim is the concept of unity, of achdut. We go and we dress up. Says, what's the matter? How we look, what we do, and nothing matters. So we dress up. You don't know who I am. I don't know who you are. We're all coming here. It brings a sort of achdut. It brings a sort of certain unity. Number 2, there was something very different about the miracle of Purim than the miracle of all the other holidays. You have the miracle of Pesach. You have the miracle of Hanukkah. In fact, every other holiday has miraculous stuff happening. You have the 10 plagues, you had the Hashmonaim, you had so many stuff that are happening that are all like amazing. You look at the story of Purim, it's not something that was like, like on the ordinary. So, you had Vashti. So she was a mean woman. She was a terrible wife. It was only a matter of time before she was going to die. Right? I mean, she lived in Persia. It's only a matter of time before that something's going to happen. Any Persian people here know what I'm talking about? There we go. All right. So, no, because they have great relationships and they understand, whatever, okay, fine. I think you misunderstood why. Okay, never mind. So now, then you have Achashverosh. So you have Achashverosh that needs a new wife. So who is he going to find? So Esther was a very beautiful woman. It's only a matter of time. He finds the most beautiful woman. She was very beautiful, so they went together. Then you have Haman, the evil villain, of this story. So he had an issue with the Jews and he hated the Jews. Okay, he's new to the story. Every generation they come and they try to kill us. So you have Haman in the story. Then you have Mordechai, who was appointed second to the king. He knew 70 languages. He saved the king's life. It was only a matter of time before he gets appointed to the high power. So when you look at the story of Purim, what miracle was there? Everything, in fact, that's why the entire story of Purim, there's no mention of God's name. Because everything looked as if it was through nature. But only after the fact, only after, in hindsight, you look back and be like, wow, the story of Purim, there's so many concepts over here that only worked out with like a divine manipulation. That God orchestrated all these things. And that's why the Gemara in Cholin, page 139b, goes and says, where do we know Purim in the Torah? And it brings a pasuk in Dvarim, chapter 31, verse 18. Va'anochi haster astir panai. I'm going to hide my face. Why is this in reference to Purim? Because Purim is a time where God hid his face. You realize Purim came after the destruction of the first temple. Before the destruction of the first temple, the Jews were used to miracles. Miracles was like commonplace. This is the first holiday where like God was hidden. I mean, God was there, but God was hidden. You couldn't see him, like floating down, like with angels, fighting your battles and splitting seas and doing who knows what. God was hidden through disguise of nature. So we see over here two concepts over here. Number one is unity. Number one is that God is hidden. Okay, so now fasten your seatbelts because we're about to get. I'm going to try. When I get excited, I am going to speak fast. So if I speak too fast, stop me, because I'm going to get excited. The pasuk in Esther, chapter 8, verse 15. It says, Mordechai went out from the king's palace dressed in royalty. It says the Megillah on page 16a. That when Yosef HaTzadik was in Mitzrayim, when he was in Egypt, he saw with Ruach HaKodesh, he saw with divine inspiration, he saw that out of Binyamin is going to come out somebody by the name of Mordechai, who comes from the tribe of Binyamin, and he is going to go out of the king's gate with 5 articles of clothing. This is reference to Mordechai. So what did Yosef do? Yosef went and he gave Binyamin 5 articles of clothing corresponding to what's going to happen in the future. The Gemara asks a question on this. It says, I don't understand. Yosef, out of all people, should know. You're treating one brother more than other brothers. What happened in this story? You had all the other brothers were sitting around the table. Each brother got 1 article of clothing. Binyamin got 5 articles of clothing. Yosef says, the Tanim Da'amarim from the Gemara, what are you doing? He says, you know what happens when you treat one child with more, attention than all the other ones. You were sold because of that, for crying out loud. So why is Yosef going and he wants to go? Okay, so we're saying that he wants to go and he wants to show in the future Mordechai is going to come after him. Fine, give it to him in private. You have to give it in front of everybody showing. Everybody be like, hey, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 5. Yeah. He's got 5. What are you going to do about it? Why does Yosef have to do that? So that's question number 1. Question number 2. The pasuk in Bereshit, chapter 43, verse 31, says that the way that Yosef did is that he seated everybody according to the age level. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, he knew everybody's age, obviously, because they were his brothers, and he set them all according to their age. And then what happened? Then they went, it says, and they ate and they drank. They drank wine together. And Rashi says over here, from the day that they sold Yosef, they did not touch wine. They did not drink wine. Until that day, they drank. Why all of a sudden, on this day, when Yosef is sitting around with them, they didn't know that it was Yosef at this time, and he's giving 5 articles of clothing to Binyamin, all of a sudden they decide to drink. So let's look at these questions. It says the Shvilei Pinchas, a Pinchas Frieder. He said that when the Midrash we all know that says that there are 4 exiles in the Jewish nation. There's 4 exiles, right? There's Babylon, there's Persia, there's Greek, and there's Rome. In Hebrew, it's Bavel, it's Madai, it's Yavan, and it's Edom. Those are the 4 exiles. Now, ask the Arizal, how come Chazal, the Chachamim, the sages, only put these 4? What about the exile of Egypt? Exile of Egypt was much worse than all the other exiles. They should have put 5. They should have put the 4 exiles and the exile of Egypt. Says the Arizal that the exile of Egypt was a conglomeration. It was a collection of all 4 exiles together. Really, all 4 of them are corresponding to the one exile of Egypt. And this is why the Chidah goes and says in the first pasuk in Shemot, it says, Ve'elu Shemot b'nei Yisrael. These are the names of the people of the Jewish nation. Haba'im le'mitzrayma. Haba'im that are coming is Bet Aleph Yud Mem. Bet is for Bavel, the first exile. You have Aleph for Edom. You have Yud for Yavan and Mem for Madai. You have the 4 exiles, meaning that when the Jewish nation is coming down to Egypt, the first pasuk in Exodus, the first pasuk in Shemot, what is it saying? Ve'elu Shemot b'nei Yisrael Haba'im. But what is Haba'im? All 4 exiles are right now coming into Egypt. All 4 exiles. This is why it makes more sense. Why is there 4 types of redemptions? That we know that when we read the Haggadah, there's 4 expressions of Geulah. God took us out of one Egypt. It should be just, I took you out. Why the 4? Why do we drink 4 glasses of wine? The answer is because there were 4 exiles, and we're coming out of the 4 exiles when we came out of Egypt. Says that Admor Mibel something very, very beautifully. Listen to this. How many times did the 12 tribes go down to Egypt? And how many times did they leave Egypt? The answer is 4 times. They went in 4 times and they left 4 times. How is it? Let's count them. The first one is when Yaakov goes to the 12 tribes, and not the 12 tribes because Yosef wasn't there. He goes to all the Shvatim except for Yosef and Binyamin. He says, why are you sitting over here? Go down to Egypt. There's a famine. Go buy food so that they'll be able to eat. So this is time number 1 that they go down to Egypt. Now when they go down to Egypt, they're coming in over here, and all of a sudden they meet Yosef. Yosef doesn't tell them who you are, and he starts to interrogate them. What, you have another brother? Go back and bring your other brother if you want food. So they leave Egypt for the first time to bring Binyamin, who didn't come with them on the first time. So they came once so far, and they left once. Then they come back with Binyamin, and then Yosef reveals to them during their stay in this time, and then they go back to bring Yaakov back to Egypt with all the brothers. That is time number 2 where they entered and they left. Time number 3 is now the entire Yaakov and the 70 people, they went down to Egypt to go and greet them, meet Yosef. So this is the 3rd time that they enter. Then they leave for a 3rd time after Yaakov passed away to go and bury Yaakov in Ma'at HaMachpelah, so they leave for the 3rd time. Then they come back for a 4th time to go and to finish the exile, and then they leave by the Exodus, they leave for the 4th and final time. Says that Admor Mibel something beautifully. He says they went down to Egypt 4 times and they left 4 times. This is Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. This is a sign for the fathers. What the fathers do that has a power that pushes that into the children. Now, what is the 4 exile and what's the order of the 4 exile? So the first exile started off with Babylon. That was when the first Bet HaMikdash was destroyed. The second exile was Madai, Paras Madai. That's the story of Esther, the story of Purim. That's the second exile. Then you have Greek is the third, and Edom is the 4th. Let's look at when Binyamin came down. Binyamin came down something very beautifully. Binyamin came down when? The second exile. The exile of what? The exile of Purim, the story of Purim. Where does Mordechai come from? Mordechai comes from Binyamin. This is where Binyamin comes in. We know over here in Esther chapter 2, verse 5, it says, Ish Yehudi aya b'Shushana bira u'shmo Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimi ben Kish Ish Yemini. He comes from the tribe of Yemini Binyamin. That's where he comes from. So Yosef was carefully planning this. He says, okay, this is time number 1. You came in. Now you're going to go back. You're going to bring Binyamin over here. Why do we need Binyamin over here? Because out of Binyamin, they need him for the second exile. That's the second time you enter. Second time you enter, that's corresponding to what? To the exile of Persia. The exile of Persia, that's when we need Binyamin. And that's why he gives them specifically 5 sets of clothing. When? During the second exile. Because that's when the second exile is when Mordechai is going to go out of the palace with 5 articles of clothing. Now we can understand why all of a sudden they decide to drink. For so many years they didn't drink. What do we know on Purim? The Gemara tells us in Megillah, page 7b, what does Rabbi say? You have to drink until you don't know between blessed is Haman and cursed is Mordechai. There's a mitzvah to drink on Purim. So they're coming over here, the second exile. The second exile is coming to Purim. Well, they're not going to drink on Purim, but they have to drink on Purim. So they come, and this is the first time that they go and they decide to drink. But now, so far so good?
That was really fast.
That was really fast? I thought I was so... Oh, okay. Yeah.
The 4 exiles
Thank you for stopping me then.
happened before Egypt or after Egypt?
The 4 exile happened after Egypt.
Right, so Egypt was first, then...
Egypt doesn't count. Egypt is a conglomerate of all the other exiles. So first it was Egypt.
I just mean time-wise.
Yeah, first was Egypt.
Yeah.
then Babylon, then Persia, then Greek, and then Rome. Okay? So do you want me to do a quick recap?
Just like the last 2 sentences.
Okay. The Jewish, the tribes, right, the 12 Shvatim, they went in and out of Egypt 4 times, corresponding to the 4 exiles. They went into one exile, they got saved by going out. The first exile was Babylon. That's when they went in, whatever, we're not going to get into that. The second exile is the Persian exile, which is the story of the Purim, is when they come in. Who did they come in with? They came in with Binyamin. Why did they come in specifically with Binyamin? Where does Mordechai come from? Mordechai comes from Binyamin, from the tribe of Binyamin. What did Yosef give him on the second entrance, the second time, the second exile? He gave him 5 articles of clothing only to Binyamin. Why? Because out of Binyamin comes Mordechai, and from Mordechai is going to get 5 articles of clothing. Yosef is going to say, see, Ruach HaKodesh, out of you is going to come 5 articles of clothing. This is the siman that I'm going to give you right now. I'm going to give you this 5 articles of clothing. And then we said that why is it that the tribes the Shvatim did not go and did not drink wine only until now? Because now is Purim, and now is the time that they were needed to drink, because that's corresponding to the second galut, second exile. Okay, so now the question is, why was Yosef feel so? This is not even an introduction, by the way. So if something, it's going to get oof. So stay with me. So
Wait, so they drank before the story of Purim actually happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So now the question is, why is Yosef feel so responsible that he has to orchestrate this entire thing? The Midrash in Esther Rabbah goes and says that Haman's decree was aimed at the sin of atoning for the sale of Yosef. Why is it? What does the Midrash goes? The Midrash goes and says that the king and Haman sat down to do what? They sat down to drink. And they started discussing what to do with the Jewish people. According to the Midrash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the tribe that he will do to them just like they did to Yosef. They sat down to eat and drink, discussing the sale of Yosef. So too now, Haman and Mordechai is going to go and sit down to eat and drink and to discuss what to do with the Jewish people. The entire concept of the sale of Yosef is not coming back in the story of Purim. The Chidah writes, this is why the miracle of Purim came by who? By Mordechai and Esther. Where did Mordechai and Esther come from? Binyamin. Binyamin was not part of the sale of Yosef. Binyamin never sold Yosef, so he had to be part of it over here. Says the Meshech Chochmah. There's something beautiful in the Parashat Achamot. The sin of Mechirat Yosef, the sale of Yosef, is because of a lack of unity. The brothers had a lack of unity. And what does it say in the Pasuk in Shemot, chapter 34, verse 7? Poked avon avot al banim. The children can get punished on the sins of the parents. But when does this hold true? That's only if the children follow the sin of the parents. If a father is doing a sin and the son does the sin, then the son can get punished also for the father. But if the father did the sin and the son doesn't go in the ways of the father and he doesn't do the sin, then he doesn't get punished for them. So now, let's look what's happening in the story of Purim. It says in Esther chapter 3 verse 8, Vayomer Haman lemelech Achashverosh. Haman said to the Achashverosh, Yeshno am echad mefuzar mefurad meben amim. There's one nation. What type of nation over here? This is a nation that is lacking achdut. They're lacking something. They're am echad. They're one nation, but mefurad mefuzar. They're all spread out to the entire world over here. They don't have the achdut going on over here. What was the problem with the sale of Yosef? There was no achdut. There was no unity. So Haman is invoking the sin of the sale of Yosef. We got them. Here's where we could get them. Now, this is why Esther goes and counteracts that in Pasuk 4, verse 15. Lech knos et kol hayudim. Go and gather all the Jewish nation. What does it mean, go and gather? Go and combine them, be united as one. Once you have, this is the rationale, Mishlach Manot. Why do we give Mishlach Manot? We try to unite everybody. This is the concept over here. We try to, go back to where we have that unity. Says the Shvilei Pinchas, Yosef HaTzadik, with his extreme humility, he blamed himself and he accepted responsibility for himself that his brothers sold him as a slave. He said, maybe if I wouldn't have told about them to my father, then they wouldn't have sold me. So now he feels through Ruach HaKodesh, he sees how he could go and he could try to fix it, that in the future they're going to be able to overcome this desire, this sin. So what happened? He asked him to bring back Binyamin. Why? Binyamin. Says this foreknown in Pashas Miketz. Yosef caved Binyamin 5 times. What is he doing in front of all the brothers? Didn't he learn the lesson of jealousy? What happens? So says the Gemara in Yuma, page 86b. How do you know that someone does tshuva? When they're in the same situation, with the same test, and they overcome it, that's how you know you do tshuva. Says Yosef, he says, now let's see if my brothers did tshuva. He says, they had a sin of jealousy, so what am I going to do? I have to go and make it, work for it, help them overcome it. So he goes, don't try this at home, he goes and he arranges for the entire brothers to sit around. And he gives one brother 5 times more than all the other brothers. And then he goes and he sees what's going to happen. And what happened? They didn't get jealous. They passed the test. Says the Chadush Harim, something beautiful. It says, why all of a sudden did Yosef and the Shvatim all of a sudden decide to drink wine after so many years? Why did they stop drinking wine? Because of the sale of Yosef. What was the sale of Yosef? A sin of jealousy. Why now did they decide to drink it? Because they saw now all of a sudden that they weren't jealous of Binyamin. So they saw that they overcame their test. They passed their test. Now we could go back to drinking. L'chaim, let's enjoy. This is where it comes all back in. So now we see over here that Yosef, so far so good? Okay, just not. Okay, Yosef HaTzadik goes, and he was laying the foundation over here. The Shvatim, he tells them to go bring Binyamin when? Or specifically on the second galut. Why? Because this is the galut of Madai. We need Binyamin over here. Why Binyamin? Because Mordechai and Esther come from Binyamin. And what happened? Yosef specifically tested them in front of everybody. Let's see if you're going to be jealous again. And when he saw that they weren't jealous over then, now they could go and drink. Now they could go and celebrate the holiday of Purim, because now they would be able to go and overcome the decree of Haman and Achashverosh. Now, okay. So now with that introduction, let's try to go and understand something very, very beautifully. How are we doing? Okay. So what was the problem with Haman? Well, let's restart that. Many problems with Haman. What was one of the reasons that Haman hated the Jews? So Esav had a son, Eliphaz. Eliphaz had a son, Amalek. From Amalek came Agag. From Agag came Haman. Haman is a direct descendant from Esav. And Haman had a very, very particular problem with the Jewish people, says the Targum. He says, what was Haman bothered? Haman was bothered that his ancestor, Esav, had the Bechorah, had the firstborn, and he was supposed to get the blessing, but Yaakov took it. And Yaakov, the Jewish nation, which represents the Jewish nation, took his blessing. He's not happy about it. We see this in Genesis chapter 25, verse 30, when Esav comes to Yaakov and says, Haliteni na min ha'adam. He says, give me whatever this red thing that you're making, this lentils, give it to me. Says the Targum, Haliteni na min. You take those first, the acronym of those things is Haliteni is hey, na is nun, min is man. They spell Haman. Haman is over here already planted in this, in this story. Says the pasuk in Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. When the Jewish nation goes, Rashi explains, when the Jewish nation goes and they don't follow in the ways of the Torah, then the blessing that went to Yaakov could actually go back to Esav. That's when the Jewish nations don't follow the Torah. So what happens over here? Purim, Haman goes in Esther chapter 3, verse 8. There's one nation that's not united. They're not following in the ways of the Torah. If they're not following us in the ways of Torah, there's no achdut. We can get the blessings. We can get the blessing that my ancestor lost to their ancestors. So the brachot should really go to who? They should really go to Esav. And which is, by default, it goes to Haman as well. Now, when we go look at the Vilna Gaon brings something beautifully down over here. Adam Arishon ate from the tree, right? He ate from the Etz Hadas. Now what happened? He says, God tells him, what happened? What did you eat from the Etz Hadas? No, it wasn't me, it was my wife. My wife made me eat from the tree. And then he goes, the wife, no, it was the Nachash, it was the snake that made me eat from the tree. And what happened? There was a slew of curses that happened to each and every single one of them to go because of the sin that they did. The earth was also cursed. The earth was cursed. Aru Adama. The earth was cursed. If you look, the curses that was given, that was received, was 10 curses. So the Vilna Gaon something amazing. Let's look at the blessing that Yitzchak gave Yaakov. You want to look at it, it's Bereshit chapter 27, verse 28 and 29. It's V'yitin lecha Elokim mitalash mamash minei haaretz. It starts off with God saying, with Yitzchak giving the blessing that I'm going to give you from the fatness of the ground. Says the Vilna Gaon, how many blessings are there in this bracha from Yitzchak to Yaakov? Says the Vilna Gaon, there's 10 blessings. How many curses are there that Adam received? There was 10 curses. 10 blessings corresponding to the 10 curses. And you go look at there, you see over there, for example, the first one is Aru Adama, the ground is going to be cursed. What is the first blessing? Umishmanei haaretz, from the fat of the land you're going to be blessed. There's also a curse that there's going to be thorns that are going to come up from your vineyards, from your plantings. And what's the blessing of Yitzchak? V'rov dagan v'sirot, you'll have abundance of grain over here. There was 10 curses. 10 blessings, each one corresponding one, says the Vilna Gaon. But when does this happen? Only when the Jewish people follow the Torah. If the Jewish people don't follow the Torah, it can revert back to Esav. Now, we have to figure out, how did Yaakov get this blessing? How did Yaakov get the bracha? We know that originally it was intended for Esav. So what happened over here? Rivka overheard Yitzchak call Esav over, and he said, "Go hunt for me." Go. Why? Because I want to go and give you my blessings. So Esav went, and he went to go hunting. Meanwhile, Rivka went. She took an article of clothing from Esav, gave it to Yaakov, and Yaakov went and he got the blessing. The question is, why is Rivka meddling? You know, like, why is she meddling into the brother's business? Obviously, she was a mother. But there's something very, very important why she was meddling. There's a very, very fascinating concept that Rivka was a Gilgul of Chava. Yaakov, a Gilgul is reincarnation. Rivka was a reincarnation of Chava. Yaakov was a reincarnation of Adam. Esav was a reincarnation of the Nachash, of the snake. Now what happened over here? Listen beautifully. Chava caused Adam, she gave him from the fruit. Remember we started off and said she gave him from the fruit and she gave him to eat. So Adam was caused by Chava to lose his blessing, which was who? So Adam, which is now Yaakov, and Chava, which is now Rivka, they have to go revert everything back. So because Chava made Adam lose the blessing, now Rivka, who is Chava, has to go to get the blessing back to Adam. That who was it stolen? Who was the fault of this? The Nachash, which was Esav. But how was this all done? Through trickery. The Nachash was very tricked, right? He pushed her in. He says, he was tricking her. He says, you did it through trickery. We're going to have to get it back through trickery. Everything is midah keneged midah. Everything goes beautifully into it. Now, how did Yaakov get the bracha? Yaakov went and he dressed up as Esav. But did he need to really dress up as Esav? The answer is no, because he bought the bechorah. Right and clear, he has a contract. He bought the bechorah, it really belonged to him. But now that he bought the bechorah, something very fascinating happened. We know that there was two girls that were intended for two boys. You had Leah, which was the firstborn, intended for Esav, which was the firstborn. You have Rachel, which is the secondborn, intended for Yaakov, which is the secondborn. But now that Yaakov went and he bought the bechorah, and now all of a sudden he is the firstborn, so now Leah is really intended for Yaakov. So what did Leah have to do? So because now that Yaakov bought the bechorah, so now Leah had to dress up like Rachel, to go and get the, because that's who she's intended for. And because Leah says, listen, the package deal, I'm part of the Bechorah package. This is what I come with. So why did Yaakov need to go and dress up over here? Listen beautifully, because Esav dressed up like Yaakov. How did he dress up like Yaakov? He goes and he pretends to be a big tzaddik, worthy of the blessing. He says to his father, how do I give ma'asel on salt and straw, things that you don't need ma'asel? He's making himself such a big tzaddik. He's pretending to be somebody that he's not. He's dressing up like somebody he's not. But even furthermore, he dressed up also in Nimrod's clothing. What's Nimrod's clothing? Listen to this, something very beautiful. Adam and Chava, they went and they were created, we said, without any clothing. Then they did a sin, they felt embarrassed, they created some makeshift clothing, but then God said, let me make you an article of clothing. So God made Adam and Chava an article of clothing. What type of clothing was this? So Midrashim tell us that it was from the snake that has shed the first snake leather clothing. From the snake that shed its skin, that God made Adam and Chava, made them an article of clothing. This was very treasured by Adam and Chava, so much so that this was such a powerful article of clothing. You're talking about a designer. This is God who designed this clothing. That when an animal saw this article of clothing, it all subdued them. They couldn't, it overpowered them. So Adam and Chava, they had this article of clothing. They took very good care of it. Adam went and gave it to his son Shais. Shais went and he gave it to Mesushelach. Mesushelach went and gave it to Noach. Noach had a son Cham who stole it from Noach. And then Noach's son Cham went and he took this article of clothing and he gave it to Nimrod. Now what happened? Esav saw this article of clothing. He wanted this article of clothing. He went and he killed Nimrod and he stole the article of clothing from who? From Nimrod. Says the Midrash Tanhuma. What was this article of clothing? What's so special about this article of clothing? This article of clothing is a clothing from the Kohen Gadol. Says the Midrash. That's what it's called. But the problem is over here, who does the Kahuna belong to? Yaakov purchased it. It doesn't belong to Esav. Esav stole it. It didn't belong to him. He stole it. It wasn't his. So Rivka says, this doesn't belong to you, Esav. This belongs to Yaakov. She took it and she gave it back to a Yaakov, who's the rightful owner of this. So we see over here that everything is switching back to the correctful place. Chava lost the blessing from Adam. So now Rivka, who's Chava, comes back and gives Yaakov, who's Adam, the blessing that was taken away by the Nachash. Now, let's look at Achashverosh. Achashverosh comes dressed up as what? He comes dressed up as a Kohen Gadol, saying, the Bechorah belongs to us, belongs to Haman, it belongs to our side, not to your side. And he comes and he says, the Jewish people don't deserve it. Why? Because they're not following the Torah. That's why he orchestrated this entire, this crazy party that he did. Now what happened over here? Achashverosh made this party. Let's try to understand what this party was, specifically of wine. Wine, we know, one of the opinions, what was the etzadas? It was grapes. It was grapes. He was trying to invoke the first sin also of Adam and Chava. You guys are so far with me? Yeah, everyone nod. Okay, good. So now, let's look at the first sin. Now, why did Chava eat from the tree. The pasuk in Bereshit chapter 3 verse 5 says over here that, what did the Nachash tell Chava? It says, Ki yodea Elokim, that God knows, Ki bayom achalchem mimeno, when you go and you eat from this tree, v'nifkuchu anechem be'item ki Elokim yodea tov v'ra, your eyes are going to be opened up and you're going to know between good and bad. So all of a sudden, Chava's saying, wait a minute, so if I eat, like God has something that I don't have, there's a sense of jealousy over here. I want that. Like, why does God have something that I don't have? So Chava wanted it. So the sense, the essence, one of the essence of the sin of the first of the Etz Hadas was what? Was a sin of jealousy. So now, over here we know that when you do something, it passes on to your children. If you have a bad character trait, it passes on to your children. You have a good character trait, it passes on to your children. Chava, unfortunately, picked up a bad character trait of jealousy. Who does this pass over? To their children. You have Cain and Hevel. What happened over here? Cain went and killed Hevel because of what? Because of jealousy. The Korban, the twins, whichever way, you want to go into. But it doesn't matter. The concept is they had some jealousy going on over there. So it passed on over here. So now let's see where Haman comes into the picture. The Gemara in Chulin, page 139b. Says, where do we know Haman in the Torah? Says the Gemara, you know where we know Haman in the Torah? In Bereshit, in Genesis chapter 3, verse 11. It says, Hamina ate, when God told Adam, he says, did you eat from the tree? Hamin is Hey Mem Nun. It's Haman. Haman is from the tree. That's where its essence comes from. The secret to Haman's personality is the secret to the tree. Says the Gemara, this is why something very interesting. What is the concept of jealousy? The concept of jealousy is you want something that you don't have. Haman had everything. He didn't have one thing. Mordechai bowing down to him. He wanted what he didn't have. Chava, Adam, they had everything. They didn't have one thing. They had the one problem that they had is that they couldn't eat from the Etz Hadas, and they wanted it. So the same sin that happened with Adam and with Chava happened all of a sudden, passed on to Hamin Ha'etz, Haman, which is from the tree, saying that he wanted something that he couldn't have. So now, this is what Ahashverosh is trying to go and manipulate back over here. He's bringing the kahuna, saying it belongs to me. He's bringing back the Etz Hadas, which is the grapes, and he's trying to make the party of the wine, making the Jews' sin fall again to the same sin that had happened, previously. So now, we see over here that Haman and Achashverosh are bringing up the jealousy of the sin of the sale of Yosef and of the Etz Hadas. So now let's try a thing. Because of the sin of the Etz Hadas, Adam and Chava needed to be dressed. What were they dressed? You look at the pasuk over there, kesonet. They were dressed in kesones, another kesones possum, same words. They were dressed in kesones. Adam took this clothing, gave it to Shetz, gave it to Misushal, gave it to Noach, stole it by Cham, took it and gave it to Nimrod, which stole it by Yosef, which eventually went back to Yaakov, is all the dressing the original dressing that came back from Adam. Now, Yaakov needed to dress up like Esav. Why? Because Esav dressed up like Yaakov. Because he dressed up. He pretended to be Yaakov. He dressed up in something that that doesn't belong to him. It belongs to Yaakov. So because now the Yaakov bought the Bechorah, now Rachel had to go and dress up like Leah. Because Leah dressed up like Rachel, so who was the firstborn? Reuven. But who was supposed to be the firstborn? Rachel's firstborn, which was who? Which was Yosef. So really, so Yaakov goes and he gives Yosef kisones, the same word, kisones pasim. Says you should have been the firstborn. So he dresses up his son Yosef as the firstborn, but now the brother says, wait a minute, he's not the firstborn. They took the kisones pasim and they dressed it up in blood. He says, this is not, so they took it and they dressed it up in blood. Now they dress it up in blood. You got the sin of the Etz Hadas, you got the sin of jealousy. We got to rewind, you got to go back to the original sin. So what happened over here? Now they have the sin of jealousy. Now all of a sudden Yosef has to go and has to test them for the sin of jealousy with the 5 articles of clothing with Binyamin. This is the reference of the Binyamin going back to Egypt. It says in Esther chapter 8 verse 15, Mordechai left the party with 5 articles of clothing. Why? Because this is the corresponding to the 5 articles of clothing from Binyamin. Says the Vilna Gaon something beautiful. It says when Mordechai went out with 5 different articles of clothing, this is a fulfillment of the bracha that Yitzchak gave Yaakov. This is which bracha specifically in the pasuk in Bereshit chapter 27 verse 29. It says, you should be a master over your brothers and your mother's children should bow down to you. There's a fulfillment of the blessing that Yitzchak gave to Yaakov when Mordechai walked out from the palace wearing these 5 articles of clothing. So now we see the bracha. The blessing that was originally lost by Adam and Chava is now all of a sudden came back because it was lost through Chava. Now it was given back through Rivka, which was Chava, to Adam, which was Yaakov, through Nachash, which was Esav. So far with me? Okay. Okay.
So what Mordechai was wearing was the exact same clothes?
Not exactly the same clothes.
Given to begin
with?
It was the same.
Not same clothes, just a symbolization. Oh. Okay. Let's try to wrap this up and then we'll try to explain it. I'm trying to go slow. I'm trying. It's really hard. Okay. So comes over here that we got the bracha back now, right? Because we had the bracha. Okay, let's do a quick recap, okay?
It's too many God that lost and God.
I know, I need like whatever. I need those, I told you it's heavy. I warned you. So,
I thought it'd be more heavy emotionally,
no. Okay, it's intellectually heavy. So now, you have over here, I know. So the idea, but it's beautiful, no? Even if you get a smidget of it, it's like ooh, right? So even you get a 10% of this, it's really cool. So it's really amazing. Cool, okay, so now, you have over here, there was a blessing that was given by God to Adam. Adam went and Chava and the Nachash are all part of the sin that they lost these blessings. So because they lost these blessings, so now it somehow has to revert back. How are they going to get it back? What was the reason that they lost a blessing? The reason that they lost a blessing was because of jealousy. So now comes many generations later, where Yitzchak is the next time you see blessing. Yitzchak is giving a blessing to Yaakov. What was the blessing? The blessing corresponds to the same curses that God gave Adam. There were 10 curses, as the Vilgon corresponded to 10 blessings. So the 10 things that was lost by Adam through Chava is now brought back through Chava, which is Rivka, to Adam, which is Yaakov. How was this done? Because you had the Nachash was instigated this entire thing. Nachash also over here, which was Esav, went and he lost it. This is very, very important. The Jewish people need this bracha, but we said that when the Jewish people don't follow the Torah, then it reverts back. So until they were following Torah, it was very good. But all of a sudden comes Purim, the story of Purim. There's a nation that's spread out. There's no unity. Oh, there's no unity over here. This is going to be a problem over here. What is going to be the problem? The problem is the same problem that we had in Yosef. Yosef had the problem also of no unity. And what happened in the story of Yosef? They went and they had to go and they sold them, they had to go into Egypt. There's so many things, there's so many exiles that we had to go through. So now to overcome all of that, we have to overcome the unity. But that's only when we have the unity. When we don't have the unity, we're in a problem. So Yosef went and he fixed the unity with who? With Binyamin. Mordechai and Esther come and they fix the unity with who? Mordechai and Esther. They fix the unity. They said, let's go and unite the entire Jewish nation. The goal over here is a goal of unity. There's a goal of achdut. Let's see how clothing comes into play in this. Clothing is something very interesting. Clothing combines. We have our body. Our body is a clothing for our soul. We have two opposites. The body, the physical and the spiritual, the body is able to combine that. The Kohen Gadol, which we're talking about over here, this article of clothing. Well, how many articles of clothing does the Kohen Gadol wear? 8. Very good. So plus 1, the kol. So the 8. So you have over here 8 articles of clothing. But something very interesting when you look at the number 8. So the Alpi Kabbalah is easy and you can enjoy it. Say Kabbalah. Oh no, come on. So now the number 6 represents the physical world, and it's very simple because there's six directions. There's front to the sides, that's 2 and 3, to the back, that's 4, up and down, that's 6. Right? 6 represents the physical. That's why the number 6 has a little circle all the way on the bottom, right? Because the circle is on the bottom. You have 7 is the focal point, which is you, which is why Shabbat. We're not going to get into that. I don't want to. Yeah. And then you have 8, which is something very interesting, which connects to the to the other world. What's the other world? That's 9 already. 9 is the circle above. So you have 9, the circle above. That's the next world. You have 6. That's this world. 7 is the focal point. 8 is what connects both the top world and the lower world. Anybody who knows how to write the letter 8 is 2 circles, right? 2 circles. Why? It's combining the top world and combining the lower world. So you have over here the Kohen, which wears shmone begadim, wears 8 articles of clothing. Why 8 articles of clothing? What's the concept of the Bet HaMikdash? The Bet HaMikdash is a connection place between this world and the next world. It combines it. The Kohen Gadol wears the 8 clothing because he's combining both worlds over here. The concept over here of clothing is it combines. It takes things that are opposite and it can put things together over here. So we come over here. And what are our goal? Our goal is to what? To get to the Bet HaMikdash, to get to the third Bet HaMikdash, to get to Mashiach. What's Mashiach? Mashiach, you go back and you revert before the sin of Adam. What's before the sin of Adam? Well, you don't need any clothing, because before the sin of Adam, there was no need for clothing. How do we lose the Bet HaMikdash? Because we had sinat chinam, we had jealousy, we had hatred. Oh, now that we overcome that, maybe we could say, put a little bit of a chidush, throw it inside over here. The only holiday that's going to stay after Mashiach comes is Purim. So we have over here, this is because this is the holiday that's to be able to fix everything. You have over here the Purim is the concept of Achdut. We lost everything because of disunity. We have Sinat Chinam. So we want over here, we want to bring ourselves back to the level before Adam HaRishon sin. And what's that? At a place where we don't need to have a concept of who's clothing and what you're wearing and who cares. It's all nonsense. It's all not, Narishkeit. That's where we're going, and we're dressing up on Purim. This is something very interesting, is why we also go and we drink on Purim. You think about it. We drink on Purim, something until we go and we curse Mordechai and we bless Haman. When can you take any Jew, secular Jew, and be like, give him 1,000 shots of the strongest whiskey or whatever it is, I want you to bless Hitler. Like, who's going to, there's no matter how much a person drinks, it's not going to go and be like, well, Hitler, is like, Mein Kampf, he's got a point. No one's going to come in, no one in the right mind will be like, yeah, let's bless Hitler, he was good. So why is it that Haman, which was the Hitler of the time, why is it that we should drink so much and we should get blessed? And the answer is, because what are we doing over here? The Etz Hadas it's a tree that between good and bad. You know what's right and wrong. What are we doing? We're drinking, we're trying to bring ourselves back to a level before we knew what's good and bad. Before we know, bless Haman, curse Mordechai, bless Mordechai, curse Haman, doesn't matter, who knows? We're going back, we're trying to revert to the place where we didn't have the sin of the Etz Hadas, we didn't have the knowledge between good and bad. This is where we're trying to bring ourselves back. This is the concept of drinking, this is the concept of why we go and we dress up, this is the concept of why we do Mishloach Manot. There's a concept over here very important, and that is a concept of unity, where we're trying to go and bring ourselves back. So now we can see why we go and we dress up. Now, by the way, there's no halakha, you're not required to dress up, okay? Just put it out there. The Jewish people, they come from who? They come from Yaakov. Haman comes from Amalek, which comes from Esav. The story over here was Haman was very upset that Yaakov dressed up like Esav and took the Bechorah. So what do? We dress up saying, no, Yaakov was right. Why was Yaakov right? Because Yaakov dressed up like Esav, because Esav dressed up like Yaakov. And then if we want to take it a little further, that's why Leah had to go and dress up like Rachel, because Adam made a sin, and Adam lost the sin with an article of clothing. That article of clothing went all the way down to Esav, which was taken wrongfully. So now Yaakov had to get it back, but that was taken back through deceit, and that's why through the Nachash, which was Esav, and Yaakov, which was Adam, and Rivka, which was Chava, everything had to go and come into play over here. But where does all this come into play? All the way until we had the sin of Yosef. Also, we have the sin of Yosef. We're losing the blessing again. Now comes Mordechai and Mordechai goes out with 5 articles of clothing corresponding to the Yosef, which is 5 articles of clothing. Why did Yosef give the 5 articles of clothing to correspond to the sin that they had of jealousy? You had a jealousy, says the Gemara in Yoma, page 86. Let's see if you're going to be able to go and you're be able to overcome your sin of jealousy. How are you going to go over and overcome your sin of jealousy? The same sin that you did, the same situation, I'm going to put you in, and let's see if you go and you pass it. The brothers were in a situation where they had one brother received more than the other brothers. All of a sudden they went and they overcame that temptation. They overcame that desire. They didn't fall into sin over here. They did tshuva. Now they could celebrate the holiday of Purim. Because why? Because now all of a sudden that they fixed this, now Mordechai, which comes from Binyamin, is going to be able to go and save us on the Purim because of what happened over here. Siman Avot, Siman Avot, Benim Lavot. You have over here something so beautiful where it comes why Yosef had to go and give them the 5 articles of clothing. So that is reason number 1. So let's go through a few other. Okay. So now, you have a question on that?
No, I just
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said you want to get to the point you don't know right and wrong, like the times of Adam. They didn't know between right and wrong.
So it was before. So that's a very, very heavy question. What happened before the time of the sin of the Etz Hadas? What do you mean that they didn't know between good and bad? They didn't know.
Meaning there was no good and bad.
What?
It is bad.
Right. So the difference is, in the simplest way that I could go and explain to you in the short period of time that I will allot for that, is that they had like an evil inclination, which basically told them, try to push them to do something, but it wasn't internal. It was external. So right now we have an evil inclination that's internal. So before the sin of the Etz Hadas, there was good and bad, but it was, you wouldn't sin, like you wouldn't put your hand in fire. Like, why would you do that? You're not going to get a suntan. Just don't do it. So that you would, just like you wouldn't do it, so like you wouldn't do any sin. But like now, the sin is internal, and be like, well, if I do, how you have, it's much more internal. So they knew the difference between good and bad, but it was a completely different concept of what good and bad was.
To the point where we could only see good as rational and bad as
We get back, we drink to the point that there is no difference between good and bad. The real essence of why, let's take it a step further. The real essence of why there's no difference between good and bad is because, we started off saying that that Purim is the first holiday that God was hidden. beforehand, the Beit HaMikdash, God had tremendous amount of miracles. God all of a sudden was hidden over here. How is it that God's hidden brings unity? Because the idea is that when someone does something to you and it hurts you and it bothers you, you're upset at that person. But when you take a step back and you think that God is hidden, God is manipulating everything, and if this person did something to me that hurt me, then yeah, this person was a messenger, but really it was because of God. Just like the story of Purim, you had so many things that look through natural occurrences, through natural events, but really, God made it that Vashti is going to go and die, and then God made it that Esther is going to become a queen, and then God made it that Haman is going to be hung, and then God made it that Mordecai is going to become the prime minister. All these things had to happen that was through it was hidden through nature. That's what comes in, and how that is just so beautiful in unity. When somebody does something bad to you, then you'd be like, okay, wait a minute, this is God through nature. The reason why this person, let's say, stole money from person A, stole money from person B, is because God said that person B is going to lose money. Person A was a messenger, so it happened. But when you start realizing that, okay, this person did something bad to me, but ultimately it was decreed from God, then all of a sudden the hatred, the sinat chinam, the lack of unity is going to fall apart. Be like, okay, he did something wrong, and I'll follow the procedures that I need to do. But ultimately, it wasn't him; it was a decree from God. So all this also comes back into a play where it brings all the achdut coming into it. There's another reason also is that we know Purim, kol haposhet yad notim, whoever goes and collects charity, you're supposed to go and you're supposed to give them. Comes the Chamim would say that if everybody goes and dresses up, then somebody goes and collects charity from you, you're not going to know who they are. You're not going to know who they are, they're not going to be embarrassed. They're not going to be embarrassed, they're going to be able to go and get, they're going to be able to go and get whatever they want. It would also go and achieve a level of unity amongst the people as well. So let's go through one final, very, very short, really very short, reason of why is it that we dress up as well. The Gemara in Megillah, page 12a. The students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai go over to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Rashbi, and they say, Rabbi, why is it that the Jewish people were deserving of annihilation during the story of Purim? So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, like any good rabbi, says, you tell me the reason. Right? Only in a Jewish, thought process that was. So the students go and they say, well, because the Jewish people participated in the feast of the party of Achashverosh. So as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, if that's the case, then only the Jewish people of Shushan should have been destroyed. Why the entire Jewish nation, the entire world destroyed? So they said, so you got us. So tell us why. So says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the reason why the Jewish people were decreed to go and be destroyed, be annihilated, is because during the time of Nebuchadnezzar, they went and they bowed down to an idol. So says the students to the rabbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, says, Rabbi, I don't understand. That's not something that you could, wishy-washy. Be like, okay, they did something bad. If they did that type of sin, they went and they did a sin that they should have rather got killed rather than commit that sin of idolatry. Why did God say then? Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because when they went and they worshipped this, they bowed down to this idol, they didn't do it, they didn't really mean it. They did it outside. They bowed down to it, but internally they didn't have any connection to this idol. They knew it was nothing, and they didn't have any meaning to it. So they bowed down to Nebuchadnezzar's idol. I don't know what it was, what type of idol. No, Nebuchadnezzar was before. So says the Bnei Yissaschar, what happened over here? So just like God went over here, and measure for measure, the Jewish people pretended to go and serve idolatry, so God pretended to go and annihilate them. So just like God, it was a superficial costume that God put on, so we put on a superficial costume knowing the superficiality of it all. So this is another reason why we go and why we dress up. But the bottom line, the underlining reason really is a reason of unity, a reason of achdut. This is what we have to work on the story of Purim, and this is the holiday of Purim. It's a time when you look at the entire concept. When you go and you drink, you go and everybody becomes united. When you go and you give charity, you become united. You're giving somebody something and be like, I care about you, my brother. Here, why don't you take some money? And you go over here, you read Megillah, you publicize that it's all from God. I'm going to go and hide my face, meaning that everything is God. So even if somebody hurts you and harms you, it's all from God. It doesn't matter. Let's not go and harm and fight against each other with the small stuff. It doesn't matter. It all comes from God. And finally, the concept of what is the Mishlach Manot? Right, Mishlach Manot is where you go and you give presents to your friends, saying, "I'm so happy that you're here." What's the biggest mitzvah? You give presents. You give Mishlach Manot to who? To the people that you give every year, right? So the same 50 people or 20 people, you give the same. Okay, like everyone's grunting nowadays. And then you leave. Really, why should the Mishlach Manot to people that you don't like? People that you had feuds with, that's who you should be giving the Mishlach Manot. That's why you should be there, because what the whole concept is unity, the whole concept of is achdut. Now, if we have this concept of achdut, then we're going to go and we're going to fix the sinat chinam. But how did we end up in this sinat chinam? Let's do one very quick circle. So, we had Adam, we had Chava, they had a blessing. We lost it through the act of jealousy. Then all of a sudden comes Yaakov, gets it back through Chava, which was Rivka. But then they lost it again, circling back through the sin of jealousy, which was Yosef, when Yosef was sold by his brothers. So what happened now? So now they lost it. Yosef had to go, and he felt very responsible. He wanted to go and manipulate the whole thing. So he went and he made Binyamin go in a situation where the other brothers will be jealous. But now he went and he gave them the 5 articles of clothing. They went, and now they didn't become jealous. All of a sudden the blessings came back. But what happened over here? All of a sudden we go and we fast forward all the way to Purim. All the time Purim, Haman is going to Achashverosh. Let's try to figure out how to get this nation. I know how to get them, because we have a nation over here that's spread apart the entire world. They're not united. If they're not united, the blessings come back to us. Let's go and bring in the entire Jewish nation back over here. So just like Binyamin was very instrumental in the first bringing the Bechorah back, bringing the blessing, back. So too over here you have Mordechai and Esther, comes from Binyamin, go and brings back the blessing over here. This is why we could say maybe that during the time of the Mashiach, we're going to have over here what we're going to revert back to the sin before Adam HaRishon, which is the sin there was no need for clothing, there's no need between good and bad. We have over here, what is this? Through Achdut. Where is it we get the Achdut? We get Achdut through this entire concept of the holiday of Purim. Maybe that's why the holiday of Purim, we could say one of the reasons is going to stay over here during the time of when Mashiach comes. Okay. No questions. Very good. Okay. Yeah.
Now I have a question, not on logistics, more like, what does it mean that they weren't unified during Purim? Just because they were all living in different places, or because they were like having sinat chinam and they really didn't like?
To what extent of the sinat chinam? I don't know. The Megillah tells us that they was mifwad mifuzar. They were spread out, and our sages tell us this means that they weren't united.
Meaning they're spread out, just like geographically, or they're spread out?
Well, the rabbis are not going to care, be like, well, they're not in the same zip code. So, no, when it means spread out, it might mean also geographically, logistically, they were spread out, but ultimately where they were spread out was internally. They were spread out internally.
Compared to, let's say now, with the unity, is it at the same level as it was before Purim?
Obviously not, because if we had the level of unity, we have the Bet HaMikdash.
Right, no, I'm saying, would you compare it to there?
To that? I don't know. I can't. To say that's why we're the same, I'm not God who could start saying, I don't know. It's a good question. Where we are, I don't know. Yeah. Yes?
In terms of the concept of jealousy, sometimes you can catch yourself, I don't know if this happens to everyone, but you catch yourself, you feel that you gave someone a look that came off as jealous, but you don't. How do you change that mindset or that tone within you, not to that switch, you know what I mean?
So,
sometimes it comes naturally.
Right. The way to overcome jealousy, well, there's many ways, but there's humility, but one of the I think the more easier ways to overcome jealousy, I guess maybe a quicker fix, is going and praying for people to be more successful. So let's say you see somebody who has something that you don't have, in your mind, give them a blessing. I hope that they have even more. So what happens over here? So all of a sudden, internally, you're not going to be jealous. It's going to be like, I'm so happy because I want them to have more. Even if you don't mean it. What can I tell you? You gotta try. Prayers work even if you don't mean it, right?
Like Hashem gave them for a reason.
Right.
And there's no point in trying to,
Right. There's also the concept of trying to overcome evil eye, which is also, we didn't get into it because if I throw that into the wrench, forget about it. So, but the, evil eye is also the same concept of jealousy. It's how come he has it and I don't? But if you realize that everything's from God, and you realize that I'm all hidden and I'm giving everybody to everything, then you're not going to have an evil eye. You're not going to have an evil eye. It's not going to result in jealousy. You're not going to have jealousy. You're not going to have any sinat chinam. You're not going to have any sinat chinam. Mashiach is here. Mashiach.
You feel the jealousy and they're like, okay, no, they should have good things.
Right. So sometimes you have to overcome it. You have to overcome it. I'm saying it's. Yeah, people have it for different. There are some people that are more prone to jealousy than other people, and it doesn't mean that they don't have anything. It depends on your nature and how you are,
What they have in certain areas.
It also depends on your previous gilgul. There's so many different factors that come into it, but it's something that everybody needs to work on.
Does it help if you give tzedakah in the morning before you're in the house and pray for
Yeah, of course.
a certain family or
Yeah.
a certain person?
Yeah, pray. Yeah, you got to internalize it. You got to really try to work yourself and be happy for somebody else. Because jealousy comes where you're not happy for somebody else. So it's a work, it's a progress. Another aspect is to work on humility. Humility also goes and helps in that, but it's a little bit in the other way. But it helps it.
They say if you see someone get humiliated, you
If they don't respond back.
Right.
Yeah, they don't.
Right. If they don't respond back, yeah.
Because that's very hard.
Huge, 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 huge. I don't know why I said it so many times. Okay, 3 times. Chazakah. Yeah.
You know how you said Rivka was the Gilgul of Chava and she had to like make that whole situation happen to get the bracha back. Did she know what she was doing? Or is that just like a cool coincidence that we put together?
To the level of what you know, you're talking about. She did have Ruach HaKodesh,
Yeah,
but
so did she know that she had to
did-
do this in order to give
so-
the bracha?
Pashtus, I would probably say yeah. There are, you have, if I'm not mistaken, the Apter Rav knew who he was in a previous reincarnation. So there's some people that know who they are in previous incarnation, but again, it's a level that you reach it. Not like, I was probably a sailor. Like somebody like a big holy rabbi. There's certain rabbis that were able to connect on high. They were able to know where they are. Generally, we don't know. You look at our result.
She knew she had to get Yaakov to trick.
Again, is it say anywhere that she knew that she was really Chava? Did she know all the thing? I don't know. But when you learn about this concept, you could say it would be probable. I wouldn't be surprised if she would know about it at all. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
So I just learned that Sarah was a Gilgal of Chava, and she rectified something that from Chava by she went into the tent and the clouds came and her challah lasted from So are all 3 of her 4 mothers
Yes.
compared to Chava?
Yes, there is a concept that they were all the way that it works in Gilgulim is that there are sparks. There's called nitzotzot there. So there are parts of the soul that could come back as a reincarnation. And yes, there's a concept that the Imahot came back as from Chava.
So Rivka was not alive when
They could-
Yaakov married.
No, they could be. They could be alive. That's why I said nitzotzot. There were sparks, not full on souls.
Like the soul split.
Yeah. Talking about there's a soul. So technically speaking, not to get too Kabbalistic, but we come from Adam Kadmon. We come from Adam, and that soul sort of split into 600,000 different souls, and that soul kept on splitting. So there's parts of it. Think of it like you have a full cup of water. So there's 1 cup of water, a little bit for you, a little bit for you, a little bit for you. So this same cup of water, which was originally, let's say, Adam, now went to a few different places. It was a splitting. It was called a spark of a soul. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
You said that when we left Egypt, it corresponds to the 4 galuts that we're now. So does that mean that, in a way, this galut, we left it already? Because we left, not now, but I'm saying
You're talking about Adom. Right now we're in the Adom.
we left Egypt. So and you said that that's like a culmination of all 4.
Which means that eventually, we're still in the 4th one. So eventually we're going to leave it just like we left there. Yeah. So it corresponds, but we didn't leave yet because we're still in the exile. When we leave is when we have the Bet HaMikdash Mashiach.
Because we left Egypt.
We know that it's going to happen also because of that, yeah.
Meaning leaving to Eretz Yisrael.
Right. Yeah. Okay, good? Good?
Are we gonna have the Galut Yishmael?
Galut Yishmael is incorporated into the Galut of Esav, which is, it's like, it's combined. 2 feet of one, yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's for now or for a different time, but so you let me know. The concept of evil eye, I don't really understand that. If people are jealous of other people, that could actually affect their life.
Yeah. So, that wasn't really an answer. I'd be like, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right on target. So the way that it works with the evil eye is like this. That evil eye is very real. That the reason the way that it works is that if you go and you look at somebody else and you see that somebody else has something that you don't, and you say, why does that person have it and I don't have it? Now pay very close attention to the vernacular that I use. Why does that person have it and I don't have it? So what happens is that you have an angel and this person that has something that you don't have also has an angel, and it corresponds in heaven. All of a sudden your angel is going to the other person and be like, yeah, why does your dude have it and my dude doesn't have it? I probably don't use it, I'm paraphrasing, right? So he's going to be like, oh, so let's see if this person is worthy of having this type of blessing. So they go into this, to this person that has a blessing, they open up his book. Does he deserve or she deserve what she has? So an evil eye basically causes the other person to get an audit.
But wouldn't God already know what they deserve? And that's
They do. But sometimes, God is merciful. And so God says, you get this. That's why you have, how does evil eye work? So let's say somebody goes and buys a beautiful car. Another person goes and says, oh, how come this person has this beautiful car and I don't? So all of a sudden the angels are, going through this judgment case and be like, do they deserve it? Why do they deserve it? So they go and they open up and be like, you know what? He kind of doesn't deserve it. You know what? let's someone key him. And someone comes in and designs, Shaniqua was here, and on the door. And all of a sudden, be like, oh, why did this happen? It could be associated with the evil eye that came upon because of that person. The way that evil eye works is not like, oh, that's a nice car, that's really cool. I would like to have something like that. Evil eye is, why does she have it or he has it and I don't? That's an evil eye. It's a specific concept of thought.
I have a question on that. You're saying the angel's deciding, not like...
The angel's not deciding, they're opening up an audit, looking into the books.
Yeah, but if God decided to be merciful and he decided to be merciful, why would he go back on what?
Because at the end of the day, there's din, and there's there's like if something has to be changed over here, then it has to be changed over here.
But it wouldn't have been changed if someone wasn't jealous.
It wouldn't have been changed.
You're saying that the reason why it's happening is because someone got
No, so God allowed it to happen. So you look at there's a Gemara, I believe it's Bava Metzia, that goes and says that they went to a cemetery and they said, how many of people here died because of an evil eye? And I believe it was Rabbi. And they came out that it was 99% of the people died because of evil eye. Now the Chazon Ish, the easiest way to explain the evil eye, I think the Chazon Ish goes and explains this beautifully. The Chazon Ish goes and says, I don't understand, how is it that everybody died from evil eye? So what are we doing on Rosh Hashanah? Every Rosh Hashanah, let's just pray, save me from the evil eye. That's it. Why do we have to worry about everything else? So the Chazon Ish goes and explains, on Rosh Hashanah, there are certain categories. If somebody goes and let's make it simpler, so we speak about life and death. If God decrees on Rosh Hashanah, this person's going to live out this life this year, then a person could put an evil eye from today until tomorrow, nothing's going to happen. If a person can go and gets a decree from God on Rosh Hashanah that this person is supposed to die this year, so person could die through an evil eye. An evil eye could be a cause of death for this person. But then the Chazon Ish, this is the extra, this is like the most important part. So the Chazon Ish goes and says, that's not so scary if you think about it until now. Okay, so when does the evil eye affect me? If I'm supposed to get punished, then I'll get punished either way. But says the Chazon Ish, there are certain categories where the book is left open. God doesn't put exactly what's going to be over here. So there's some people that their book is left open. Are they going to live this year or are they going to die? Well, let's see. Let's see how this is going to work out. If the person is worthy, he's going to live. If he's not going to worthy, he's going to die. Says the Chazon Ish, an evil eye can affect this type of person. This type of person whose books are open, this person could go and now be sentenced to death because of an evil eye. And says the Chazon Ish, because we don't know where we're holding, if we have the book that was, promise for life, promise for death, or promise open, so we have to be worried about evil eye. So evil eye does have a concept of here. The Rabbi is on the idea that you don't think about evil eye, you don't worry about evil eye, you leave it, and it's not going to bother you. But the general, idea is that the evil eye is a real thing, and you have to be careful in it. You want to know the best way to overcome evil eye is if you don't give an evil eye on anybody else, nobody can give an evil eye on you. So if you go, this is where it's very important, circling back to what I mentioned, if you go and you're not jealous of anybody else, which is the source of evil eye, so you don't give an evil eye on everybody else, so when all of a sudden, let's say you get a brand new car, a brand new house, and all of a sudden, somebody's driving past by and says, oh, how come she got this beautiful thing and I didn't get it? So, the angels are coming back over here. Oh, how come she got it? But then all of a sudden the angel has a shield and he's like, bing, deflect the evil eye. Why? They're like, my person never, ever, ever, ever gave an evil eye on anybody else. Meaning that she never caused somebody else's books to be open. Measure for measure, now you can't cause her books to be open. So the best way to protect against evil eye is you don't give an evil eye on anybody else. Achtos and Mashiach. Okay. I mean, I don't follow the thought process, behind that. I've done research on this and I've learned this, the concept. But there is a, they quote it from the Gemara Pesachim, but whatever it is, it was difficult for me to understand. The general, understanding is that there is an evil eye, and the way that you want to go and you protect yourself from it is don't give an evil eye on anybody else. You don't. No, you could. The lead thing, there is a pikabah, there is. I mean, you wrap yourself with red strings, it's not going to deflect it. I'll tell you that much.
Even if you got a nice car, let's say.
Right, you should be humble.
Turn on the volume on and drive down the
Exactly.
street and turn on everyone's alarms. Obviously you're going to get an evil eye.
A certain. You're right. There are certain neighborhoods, the people that live in these neighborhoods, they put the speakers on the outside of the cars. Not to. You ever saw those people ride bikes with a boombox?
Yeah, they put it in the front.
They didn't know. They didn't realize that there's headphones. But they go over here and they're driving their car, the lights on the bottom and the rims and I don't even know the terminology. They got the wings that they didn't want to fly and take off. So they have all this stuff that they souped up their car over here. So basically is what they're doing when they're driving and basically making all the car alarms and the people that are dead wake up with their muffler and whatnot. So they're driving down the street over there. They realize, evil eye this way, guys, right over here. Yeah, why don't you look at this? And it's very unfortunate. People go, and this is more common in women, unfortunately, where a woman goes to another woman, oh, I'm so jealous. Really? That's so nice. Oh, thank you. Why would you, people feel good to be like, oh, you're jealous of me? I think, no. Yeah, it puts you higher, but I'm saying,
it's not a normal thing, whatever. But
I'm saying, but yeah, I understand the psychology behind it, but it's, when you think about the spiritual concept behind it, be like, that's bad. That's like, don't make somebody cause it. I'll get you first. You had a question?
Yeah, but some people, I feel like some people don't realize that they can cause that they're doing it.
They don't realize.
It's a vibe.
Right. Some people are mean and they don't realize it. Doesn't mean that they don't have to work on it. People have a lot of character traits they need to work on. People are not connected to Torah. They're not learning Torah. They're not listening to shiurim. They're not trying to learn Sfarim. They're not working on themselves. What hope can you be? It's like somebody who goes and be like, I'm going to one day be a great psychologist, but never opens up the book. Like, how can you be a great human if you don't open up the book of God told you how to be a great human? That's in the Torah. If you're not going to learn it, then how can you expect to be a good spouse, a good mother, a good father, a good child? There's so many things over here you have to learn. How else are you going to be that?
So if someone catches themselves within that concept of jealousy and then wants to retract right away,
Retract.
could they close that book?
Technically, that's like think of it as like think of it like tshuva. Any concept of tshuva, you could fix it. So if if somebody was a person that was very jealous, right? Every time they were just like, evil eye, and laser beams just like fly out of their eyes, like evil eye everywhere. And that's what the type of person, so they could do tshuva. They go to tshuva and they go and they work on themselves and they correct the sins that they have completed. Then they can fix it. And we daven every day. We pray every day in brachot. We pray for these, for the savior, to be saved from evil eye. So yeah, we do.
What's an instant way to cut off evil eye?
You go to a Kabbalist, you pay him a lot of money. No, I'm just kidding. Don't.
And be like, I just caught myself giving someone
The best way is, yes, to do tshuva on anybody that you are jealous about and start realizing the underlying concept here is really emunah. When you work on emunah and you realize that everything's from God, then you're not going to be jealous. So it's fixing that default. So if you are jealous of somebody, you start. If let's say you have somebody that you have such a love for them that it turns into hatred, and unfortunately, so that type of person, you go and you pray for that person, and you start praying and praying that you just want success, and eventually it'll turn real. In the beginning, you'd be like, yeah, I hope this person is going to go and be very successful, and you're like, nah, you'd be like, cross my fingers, wrong religion, whatever it is. But you're going to go and you're going to eventually not feel committed to it. But as you go on, eventually it will stick in. Yes.
Okay, so I had one situation that was like really weird. Basically, I was in a group setting and one girl complimented a person, and then he spilled a cup of water, and then she complimented me on my shirt, let's say, and the bottle fell. So I didn't even realize my friend was like, she has an evil eye. What is that? Weird.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry too much about it. Is it possible? Yeah, people do have an evil eye. There is an idea with compliments that after compliments you're supposed to give a blessing right away. Should we do a topic of evil eye over here? I mean, we can do it. I mean, I've given it before years ago, but okay, we can do it. What?
I feel like you do it several times.
I did, yeah. I'm saying if you guys want it, I could give a class.
Yeah, what do you mean blessing?
You have a paper?
Well, I could just do it next week if you guys want. I mean, it doesn't. We'll make a poll after this off camera. Yeah.
To add on, so after you finish this.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
So nowadays it's Instagram, social media,
Woo!
everyone's posting.
Yeah. Evil eye is booming now.
Trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
Have bloggers. People are showing their perfect life. But,
Exactly.
Obviously it's not perfect, but when you see something so much every day, you open your phone, you're looking at it, you're instilling it in your mind.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this person has a perfect life.
Instagram and Facebook should be just called Evil Eye 1, Evil Eye 2.0, Evil Eye this.
You should stay away from posts.
Oh, 100%. Stay away from social media if you can.
The whole life thing is a bit
There is, it depends who does it, but yeah, there is.
Yeah, some who's 50
Yeah.
or some who's 100. No, I'm just kidding.
There is a concept of lot to remove evil eye, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I just gave half the class of evil eye, but whatever. Okay, any other questions on this topic? No? Okay, Chazak u'Baruch. Okay.